it's the economy growing at a pace where the electricity system in China can't quite keep up. And this is because after COVID broke out in late 2019, early 2020 in China, the government pumped up the economy with a lot of stimulus. Anyway, it seemed to have worked because they've been growing at a fast clip, but also, too, because factories overseas were all knocked out by COVID. Chinese factories have been pumping out the exports. And so literally you've had a big surge in electricity use across the country. And the coal-fired power plants, which still overwhelmingly generate most of China's power, they're running sort of short of coal. And it's not as though there's not enough coal to go around. It's more that, according to the experts up there, 90% that is used in power generation is supplied domestically. It's Chinese coal. And so there are bottlenecks and sort of supply issues trying to actually get that from, the mining operations to the power plants. So what has that done? It's raised the price of coal, classic supply and demand. Now it gets a bit wonkish and a little bit dry, but this is the reason I've been told by multiple people that this is all happening. It's because China's electricity prices are regulated and they're fairly cheap. And the government wants to keep it that way so that, the people are happy, you don't have social unrest, et cetera, et cetera. But the coal price is market-based. So putting the full foot on the accelerator for electricity generation, and so the price of coal has shot up, and yet the price that end consumers pay for it is still moderated by the government. And so for many of these coal power plants around China, they're not turning a profit anymore because the price of coal is so much and the price of electricity is so low that they're basically shutting up shop or scuttling down their operations.
Yeah.
So that's a long-winded way of explaining it, Bev, but that's what's happened.
And has the Chinese ban on Australian coal exports contributed to the situation?
Not really. According to multiple analysts who look at this really closely, they point out that when 90% of China's coal for power generation comes from China itself, it's domestically mined coal, only 10%. At its peak during the good old days, Australian coal imports into China were sort of 30-40% or so at its peak. So that was 3 to 4% of total coal consumption for power generation. Still not that much. Now that's gone, but of course China is sourcing that coal from other markets, and the Australian coal that would have gone to China is now being diverted to other countries. So it's not as though there's this big supply of coal sitting in Australian ports that could go in there and alleviate this problem anyway. So they're basically saying, look, it doesn't help that they banned Australian coal. That obviously affects the price in one way or another, but there's a problem about bottlenecks and getting Chinese coal to Chinese power plants so that they can meet the demand which has been caused by all this stimulus.
And what about their, climate change targets? Some people are saying they're shutting down factories because they are trying to reach those emissions targets.
Yeah, so some people are saying that could be a factor in some of these provinces, that they've been pumping out so much stuff in their factories and their industrial smelters and whatever, that they're well and truly on track to exceed their annual energy targets. And so they're suddenly putting the foot on the brake and literally cutting power to, industrial clients to try and reach those energy targets. Some people are suggesting that this may be going on, but when you speak to most of the analysts, they reckon it's not really likely. It's more likely that it's simply a supply issue, that they can't, that these Chinese coal power plants can't turn a profit when coal is so expensive as an.
Good to talk, Bill. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bev.